In this lesson, we use the tools within Flash Professional to draw out elements for use in our project. So we already have our stage all set up and ready for us. The first thing I'm going to want to do is create the background. So for this, I'm going to use a basic rectangle, and I'm going to make sure that I have the background layer selected. That's already been created for us. I want to create the background the exact size of our actual stage, so I drag out my rectangle to match that size. And now that we have our rectangle here, I'm going to want to go in and change the colors of it. So I want to go to my color palette and create a linear gradient. And I'm thinking that this could look like some sort of a sunset. So let's just choose a basic gradient for now. And you can see the gradient by default is going from left to right. That's okay for now. I'm going to adjust that later with the gradient transform tool, so it's going from top to bottom though. So the top is going to be sort of like a sky, and I want it sort of a light blue sky. And then the very bottom, let's make it sort of like a sunset. And I'll push that down a little bit and perhaps create another little key in here. That's a bit of a darker blue. And then another one right here, that's more of a darker red color. Not that dark though. Yeah, something like that. And you can of course tweak this to your heart's content. Okay. And I'm going to save this as a swatch in case I want to use it again. So just dump it right in there. And then collapse this panel. So now I have what is basically my background, but it's on its side. I don't want that. I'm going to go into my gradient transform tool and actually rotate this until it appears as I want it. So that's pretty good. Okay. So I'm going to save the project and then lock down my background layer. The background is all set. The next thing I'm going to create is a hill. So using my little hill layer here, I've unlocked that and I've selected it so that anything I draw out will actually draw out into that layer. I'm going to use my pen tool, and I'll actually just select black for when I draw this path out. And I'll start up here towards the top and just sort of start creating a nice hill here. I'm going to alt-click on this, which allows me to drag that handle at an angle. And then complete my hill over here. So I've created this outline for my hill, but I don't actually want that outline. I want to be able to just have a fill here. So I'm going to use my paint bucket tool, and I'm going to select this brown color and just dump that in. To remove the stroke, I'm going to double click on it to select it and then hit delete. So this gives me a nice kind of smooth hill here. All right. So I could make some further adjustments to this. Perhaps I want to actually create this as a bit of a gradient as well. So I can go back into color, and maybe I'll choose a radial gradient this time. And I don't want this color we had last time. I want something more brown. So I'm going to go in here and actually create this gradient that's just very dark and brown. Okay. So that looks pretty good, but again, I'm going to want to transform this so it looks just right. And that looks pretty good. So now we have this nice gradient there to use. I'm going to lock down my hill layer. And the next thing, and last thing I need to draw is the actual, what I'm calling the player, which is going to be a little ball. He'll be able to go over here, and we'll eventually animate him jumping off of the cliff or rolling off. So let's create him now. I'm going to go in and create a basic oval with the oval tool. And I'll just click and drag. I'm holding down the shift key to make sure that I actually create something that is perfectly round. So you see it's created that here for us. Again, we have this stroke. I don't want the stroke on there, so I double click on it and I hit delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. Let's zoom in on this guy. So right now he doesn't look all that great. He's the same exact color and gradient as our cliff face here. So I'm going to go into my color panel and just make some adjustments. Make him look a little livelier. So let's make him green. He'll stand out really good. Perfect. All right. So this has been an example of how to use the tools within Flash Professional to draw out and adjust assets on the stage.